Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is time for game number 2 between Polt and Scarlett. And guess what, Roddy?
Tell me, Sean.
The game is live.
Duh. And it is still going to be played on Frost, as you guys can see, as we are loaded into game number 2. Over here in the right bottom side of Frost, we have the man who is definitely not used to losing to anyone as much as he has lost against Scarlett in the last few days. It is CM Storm's very own Polt.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner makes extremely bad positions for Zerg look easy. It is the Queen of Blades, Acer Scarlett. I think that is absolutely remarkable how calmly Scarlett handled that.
Yes, and I still don't really understand it. I've been talking about it. We've been talking about it in the break. We've been thinking about it. It really shouldn't have been that easy. It's just safe to say if a Zerg player loses their hatchery, they're not supposed to be in a good position. And you're not just supposed to be able to run across the map with a bunch of Zerglings and Banelings and just, you know, do economic damage. And hey, everything is solidly okay again.
Yeah, I mean, I like your comment, how we talked about it after the games, because, you know, we might add a little bit of sauce to our voices when we're on air. Like, welcome back. Oh, what a crazy game. And then we get off and we're like, that was actually a really crazy game. That was weird. I mean, that is remarkable. In this game, on Frost, it's cross-map positions, and we're already starting to see the hints of what's to come in this matchup. Scarlett gets the hatch down and then builds 2 more drones. A lot more comfort in her step. We see Polt getting a barracks with the space for the Hellions, assuming no all-in, and then is going to go straight into an expansion. This is a very old-school build. Yeah,
opening gasless on Frost, it's not something we see very often these days. A lot of Terran players still love to open up with the Reaper. If you guys wonder why would Scarlett drop the hatchery a little later on Frost and Overgrowth, this is of course a larger map. It's a 4-player map as well. By the way, is it just me or like do the colors of Frost look a little different?
It's actually Christmas Frost. Actually, let's go ahead. Let's talk to our observer. If we go down to CM Storm's Polt's base and we drift a little bit to the left, just slowly go. It's a Christmas tree.
Yeah. Well, it's a little early in June, but hey, I'm digging it, Sean.
In California, the weather in June is the same as the weather.
Yeah, that is right. I felt so sad last Christmas. It was so sunny outside. I was like, this is wrong. It's supposed to be sitting inside. It's supposed to be snowing or raining in my country most of the time.
Yeah, in California, it's like, oh, it was really nice Christmas. I'm going to go tan.
Real tan, no spray tans.
Now, we're seeing some very unique to Polt's moves right now. We see 2 gas geysers going down. Typically, you'd want gas to get a factory up, but you don't need to keep doing Hellion production. What we've been seeing out of Polt is that he actually swiftly goes for the starport, swiftly gets the Vikings, gets a ton of gas-based units like Marauders, like Medivacs, in addition to those Hellions. And not a lot of people are really doing that nowadays.
Mm-hmm. I do think it's safe to say that Scarlett is quite pleased with spawning cross position as well. They had a really interesting game against each other where they spawned on horizontal positions, and then it's all about the Zelnaga Watchtower and how far can the creep push from one side to the other one. Of course, it's a lot easier for Scarlett to get good creep threat going when it's cross maps. He will have a little more time eventually, and it's less likely that after a bad fight on Polt's side of the map, C is going to die immediately. C will have time to remake her Banelings, remake more Zerglings, and whatnot. So far, everything is very standard. I do really like this, Sean. It's this small little Marine hit squad that's going to snipe an Overlord on the south side of the map.
Polt is so good at this. I mean, by going for the extremely old... Oh, wait, look at this. Zerglings are sneaking in. They're like, you're not allowed to go kill my Overlords. I'm going to kill a drone. Oh! I kind of forgot that they could do that.
A few Zerglings are still going to be annoying, but obviously it's so far so good for Polt. Getting an Overlord, picking up a few Zerglings. He loses a tiny bit of mining time, but losing 1 or 2 Marines is really not that big of a deal. We also see a very quick starport go down already, and the tech lab being added to this Rex gives me the indication that we might see an armory go down in the near future as well. Unless Polt is really going to surprise us and not drop an armory and do something very old school. Or it could also be Hellion Banshee, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, what we generally see Polt do is immediately get stim, and then when the starport's done, he's going to go Viking, add-on, Medivacs. And he's going to get this weird mix of Marauders and eventually Hellbats, but here the Viking is going to be clearing stuff out. The Marauders are going to be used to do drops in the main, and what we're going to see from Scarlett is an uncharacteristically defensive Zerg. We're going to see a super early Baneling nest. very, very careful scouting. A super early 4th hatch, and like you were talking about earlier, mega late Spire.
As double evolution chamber is currently being morphed in, and there's nothing but drones on the production tab. Over the last few days, Scarlett has shown us that she doesn't really need a whole lot of Zerglings in a certain phase of the game to be safe. Queens are more than enough for her. As most of the time, a queen will not just die. We do see the reactor being added on immediately already as well, and Stim is on the way. Then we do see the armory being added on though, so it's sort of still like the build, as Nathanius likes to call it.
Well, I mean, what most Terran players do is they're just going to get a force and hellbat them up at the front, and then march in with those medevacs for a clean win. But we're seeing Scarlett have the perfect answer prepared, the Baneling Nest. What Polt tends to do is to keep Hellions at the front and then do a Marauder Hellbat drop at the back. But Polt unsuccessfully did this multiple times.
Yeah, I really like how you said that, because there was this game on Waystation between these two players where I just thought there is absolutely no way that Scarlett is not going to lose a whole lot of workers now. It seemed impossible to me. There were 6 Hellions and a Reaper waiting for the drop to unfold in the main base so they could swing into the third base. It was completely exposed. Mineral line was up for grabs, a lot of drones were exposed, but somehow, some way, Scarlett did not take a whole lot of damage, and I just didn't see how that was possible. Once more, we might see something very, very similar. Those 2 medevacs with 4 Marauders and then the 2 Hellbats will be dropped into the main base. There are also a few Marines. Actually, he might just bring everything in front. This is a little different because this time he's bringing the Marines as well, but we'll see how this goes. It's a lot of Hellions, and if they all swing in, this actually seems to be really good against a no Roach Warren build from Scarlett, because he's refusing pretty much to build a Roach Warren over the last few days. And how would you stop this? How do you not take a whole lot of damage if you don't have a Roach Warren now, Sean?
Scarlett is banking on Hellions. When this push comes up, 1-1 is not quite going to be done. Polt, what's happening? Nothing's moving. And there it is. There's the move in. More Banelings are going to pop in, and those are light units, Hellbat, so they do take an incredible amount of damage from Banelings.
I really like how this push is unfolding so far for Polt. This is an excellent unit composition. Of course, he's still going to have to spread his units properly, but Hellbats are fantastic against Banelings. They can soak up shots for days. We see a lot of these drones are currently not mining. Zerglings and Banelings will try to connect with these bio units, but there are so many Hellbats in the mix, Sean.
Oh my god, the massacre of the Banelings! Scarlett always nails every Baneling hit, makes the push seem easy to thwart, and now 68 drones, a 4th base coming up. Scarlett is just rocking this game.
How does it? It's just Zerglings and a few Banelings dealing with a lot of Hellbats and a few Stim bio units. This really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It seems like Polt has the right ideas. There are still a few Marauders. This time they will succeed in picking off one of the Queens, but there are still plenty of Queens left on the map, 4 even. And now once again Scarlett with a pretty big upgrade advantage, already firing up +2 way before +1 is even ready.
Oh gosh, Scarlett getting the macro hatch. And meanwhile, back in Polt's main, we see his classic composition of 6 barracks to pump out as many Marines as possible. Polt is going to be returning to his Marine mine staple. Scarlett notes that, wait, where are the watchtowers?
Well, I guess in Christmas the lights are off outside.
Wait, what? I feel like I just, what? Okay. Well, it looks like there's no watchtowers in this particular game. That's going to be very difficult for Polt. Traditionally, the Zerg is the one to hold the watchtowers, but that's Terran's real key linchpin in the mid game.
Either way, the unit mix is very even so far. Widowmine will get a shot off and pick off the first Middleisk in the middle of the map, while this 4th base is about to finish up for Scarlett, who has indeed a ridiculous economy. Currently 84 drones up on the map. Both armies are getting really close to engaging though on the south side of the map. Widowmine is getting reasonable connections. Few Banelings. So far the splits are excellent by Polt, but Scarlett is definitely in a position where she can just trade away a few units. As her economy, as long as he keeps Polt on his side of the map for a while, it is fantastic news for Scarlett with her 84, 86 perhaps even drones, and soon to be 4 bases, including that 1 macro hatchery in the main base.
And look at this, another macro hatch at the 4th. This is the Scarlett that's so terrifying. 83 drones will slowly add up to over 90. At this point, Scarlett can replenish so easily. We're seeing Spines and Spores just round out each expansion's defense. And the only missing piece is, when is that hive coming up? This is Polt's time to try to batter Scarlett back before she powers up. Uh-oh, there's the drones coming.
I couldn't agree more, Sean. It's currently 83 army supply for Polt against 50-something for Scarlett. And Scarlett's still squeezing out more drones. It's actually ridiculous. +2 is about to finish up, though, for Scarlett. And +2 armor as well. She currently has 9 Banelings, 28 Zerglings. This is a very, very, very important moment in this phase in the game for Polt. He's showing a lot of respect. At least he's pushing back the creep. But we've seen so many times that just pushing it back is often not enough.
Yeah, I mean, you have to push it back to make sure that you can have an engagement off creep, but I think Scarlett is just not going to allow that to happen. Scarlett's going to wait patiently. Scarlett is going to wait till she has enough Banelings. She's going to use that to buy time, and here's the engagement. The mine hits nothing. The Mutalisk count not high, but whoa, here's Polt's reinforcements.
Yeah, a lot of Banelings streaming in. The splits are beautiful for Polt, but the numbers are just not in his favor. 2-2 upgrades for the Zerg against 1-1 for Terran is always a very #dicey position to be in. It's just not a fight you want to take. Scarlett, with her quick upgrades, is once more in absolute control of this game, and it really looked like she's untouchable in this matchup. It's insane.
It's unclear what Polt's play is in this spot. Typically, you might want to suggest, well, Polt needs to be more passive. He needs to wait. He needs to get a bigger army. But you can't really afford to do that against a Zerg player. All of a sudden, his Mutalisk will begin to kick into action, begin harassing you. And
not just that, there are like 90 drones as well with 6 hatcheries currently. A couple of Banelings were morphed off creep, but they'll just roll forward, get reasonable protection. That was a beautiful shot from the Widow Mine, but there are still so many Mutalisk alive. Scarlett is still in a very, very, very good position. There is a drop as well on the north side of this map, but even that is taken care of. Scarlett is all over the place.
In the main base, there's not a lot of defenses, and these drops are never really designed to deal tons of damage. Sometimes they do. Most of the time, they provide opportunities, and Polt's taking it. He's going to step forward, scan in mid, and remove as much creep expansion as he can, but we're starting to see already Scarlett has gooped up the left half of the map, taking a 5th base at the top side. We're seeing the drilling claws also for the Widow Mines, and Polt's macro, per usual, is on point, but 3-3 needs to begin now for Polt.
A lot of Banelings morphing very close to the Terran army. This is perhaps not the best position to morph the Banelings, and Scarlett is agreeing with that as he cancels a few of them immediately. Will morph 20 more a little closer to one of her bases where she can fall back to something if it's necessary. Polt has to be careful. He's down in, actually he's up in army supply now, but he was down for a while. But he's still down in upgrades. +2 is about to finish up for the Mutalisk as well, and there are quite a few Banelings over here in the mix.
Well, that was a nice mine hit on the Overseers, also managing to deal big damage to the Mutalisk pack, and Polt has not really lost as much ground as we would traditionally see him lose against Scarlett. This is Polt's moment. He's getting 3-3, and he already has a 40-second lead on his upgrades compared to Scarlett. Drop on the left side actually manages to pierce in. No workers have been killed yet. 90 drones on the map.
26 Zerglings in production currently for Scarlett. The problem is the Marine count is just not that ridiculous for Polt. You can't really try to go in for the kill or try to kill a base when you have 40 Marines against 20-something Banelings, especially not when there's still creep. However, Polt is doing a good job in pushing the creep back. He's stabilizing at least a little bit. He can't stay around too long though, because this is quite a bit of Zerg.
I mean, these mines are almost dealing more damage to Polt than they are to Scarlett. They're always leaping in, eliminating big packs of Marines, and the Banelings for Scarlett, as we're going to see.
6 splits, though.
Manage to always locate the most vulnerable packs, and suddenly there's no Marines left. How does Scarlett consistently nail those Baneling blasts?
He's doing a phenomenal job with that. It really felt like Polt was still doing a very good job of splitting up his army, but he had quite a few Marauders in the mix, quite a few Widow Mines, quite a few Hellbats. So even just 1 or 2, 3 Banelings connecting with a bunch of Marines can already be deadly, as you just don't have enough anti-air anymore to deal with these Mutalisks. There are 9 Mutas currently in production for Scarlett. So he's still on 85 drones, an absolutely untouched economy so far. Polt is completely unaware of that 5th base, and Scarlett is like, this is going pretty good. Let's get 11 more drones just so I can, make all my Zerg players proud around the world, and I can go over 100. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, right now, I mean, Polt is still trying to apply pressure with these drops, but has hit the awkward moment where suddenly the Mutalisks are not the defensive units trying to deny drops and pick off mines. They're the attacking units, heading into the Terran side of things, locating these bases. This is looking very, very concerning.
Especially the Mutalisks with +3 flyer attacks on the way already. They are going to be such a pain in the ass for Polt to deal with. It's just how are you going to deal with 35, 40 Mutalisks flying around with +3 flyer attacks? Even missile turrets are not going to cut it anymore. Polt will find the base on the right top side of the map for the first time, but there were a few static defenses as well. And Scarlett, as always, has a few units in position. However, these Marines being dropped on the high ground is very smart. Oh my god!
Oh my god, the mines, as always, deal more damage to Polt than to Scarlett. The Mutalisk count did drop to 14. That gives a little bit of a window of opportunity for Polt. I think that is the lucky hit he was hoping for.
Yeah. Will it be enough to actually capitalize on that, walk across the map and try to do some damage? I think that's going to be very tough. One of the best things for Polt is that all of the Widow Mines that fired are actually still alive. He did a very good job in hiding them below the SUVs. This is why Scarlett did not see them in time. However, Scarlett still with such an insane economy is actually in a position where he can lose a few Mutalisks for SCVs or whatnot. Normally not a trade you want to make as you want to save your gas expensive units, but now the Muta count is already back to 22. There are 4 more in production. Polt is moving out, and this might actually be the most crucial fight that we are going to see in this game.
This is key. Polt has a lot of mines. He's at 14. The Baneling gets eliminated. But I really think that Polt needs to be careful about where he's planting these mines. They are backfiring frequently. He is charging up to this 5th. If he can take this 5th down, this will stilt Scarlett's production huge. Scarlett's already mined out in her main, mined out in more bases.
That will actually be fantastic. 2 Widow Mines will get picked up immediately. Scarlett in general so good in avoiding the big Widow Mine hits. Banelings will roll in. Banelings actually getting really good connections once more. They stay alive for so long and will find the connections to the Marines that she's looking for. Scarlett will be able to defend her 5th base and push this army back.
I don't even know how to describe this. Scarlett always finds the best spot for her Banelings to go. She is building about twice as many Banelings as every other Zerg player.
And she's going to be able to clean up all those Widow Mines as well. The Ultralisk Cavern is even about to finish up, so we might see a few Ultras. We've seen them many times. She is still on 96 workers, Sean. Like, that's just insane. How is she not losing fights when she has built so many drones throughout the entirety of this game? And on any given moment, she always has so many workers, yet it just doesn't really seem there is a way for Polt to punish it.
Yeah, I mean, the way that Scarlett's able to do this is that the Baneling is very expensive. 75 minerals, 25 gas, but it's half a supply. So even though Scarlett won't have as big a Mutacloud, will definitely not have that many lings, she winds up with 50 or so Banelings, which is, ooh, that was a nice hit. She winds up with way more Banelings than I think Polt or any other Terran will be capable of dealing with.
This is a little bit scary. There are a crazy amount of Widow Mines now. There are 12. That's more than you normally see in this phase in the game. That is actually quite scary for the Mutalisk. Another relatively juicy hit. A lot of these Mutas took quite some damage, and normally that's not a problem because they will regenerate. But Polt wants to fight, and he wants to fight real soon. So this is actually a little bit of a scary scenario for Scarlett. Also because this is like the only part where they will have a fight where there is no creep to help those Banelings getting the connections that Scarlett is looking for.
Oh, this is the critical fight. This is the critical fight. The Zerglings have done a good job of dealing with the mines thus far. The Banelings still manage to drill in and find their connections again and again. It doesn't matter how good the positioning is. Scarlett will track you down and throw Banelings into your face.
Another really good engagement for Scarlett. Excellent control of the Banelings once more. Always gets the connection that he's looking for. These medevacs are very low on HP. The Mutalisks, if they want to, they can pick off quite a few of them. There are still a lot of Widow Mines in the mix. It's just a thrill of Widow Mines. It's very nice of Polt to his Marines. If they ever want to get home, just follow the Widow Mines. They'll get home eventually, Sean.
You know, I almost feel like if you want to succeed as Terran, you have to just tell your Widow Mines never to attack Zerglings ever again.
There are 17 Widow Mines on the map with 5 more in production. So it seems like Polt's idea of how to stop the playstyle of Scarlett is just with a ridiculous amount of Widow Mines. But soon we're going to have our first Ultralisk out on the map. A lot of these Widow Mines are really out of position. Few Banelings will actually not get blown up as the Overseer gets blown up. However, Ultras, of course, very beefy, very strong units with a lot of HP. Makes all of these Widow Mines a lot less effective. This drop is actually doing some work. Might even be able to get a couple of drones as well. This is nice for Polt. He's catching a little bit of a break, but as we can see in the resource tab, Scarlett still has plenty of money in the bank.
Yeah, I mean, 1.5k, 1k is pretty good for a transition, but this attack can end everything for Scarlett. Polt actually managed to get maxed, and the Mutalisks are not pressing in. Polt's doing a good drop over here at the center expansion. I think Polt's actually managed to get himself into a great edge.
Polt is doing some serious work now because he's down 27 workers, which means that his army supply is ridiculous. He's on 146 Terran army supply against 103. However, Ultralisk and Infestors can do terrible things to bio units, and even Widow Mines are not the scariest thing in the world once more because the units have so much HP. But it is really important that Scarlett does not underestimate how big this army of Polt truly is, because not often do you see players being maxed out but being up 40 army supply.
And there's no Zerglings to absorb these hits.
God, the Widow Mines.
The mines are actually connecting with non-Zergling units, and immediately we're seeing the momentum shift to Polt.
He's still up 50 supply. All of the Mutalisks are still alive, but this is starting to get a little tricky for the first time in this series for Scarlett. He has plenty of gas in the bank, but he lost their Ultralisk. The Infestors were not a part of this fight. 1 or 2 Fungos can really make the difference, but this base is under a lot of fire now and might actually fall. Oh, the Widow Mine shots.
All the Mutalisks tumble down to the dark orange supply. The top right expansions, absolutely essential for Scarlett's long-term play, are now inaccessible.
The unexpected is about to happen, and all of these Marines are so clumped up. Here come the Balings as well. Polt is in a lot of trouble with this army. Definitely did a lot of damage, but I don't think that most of those units are going to survive.
Ultralisk about to pop out, like you say. Surprise! I was just an egg, but now I'm an Ultra.
That is the unexpected.
And somehow Scarlett has the top right. Scarlett has tumbled from 90 drones to 54 drones.
He has finally lost a lot of workers. There are a few Infestors, but I haven't really seen any Infestors participate in one of the battles so far. Polt has secured a base now because he's finally able to keep the pressure up. He's going to do what he does best, and that is just snipe hatcheries all around the map. And now Polt finds himself in a really good position. After that fight,
the Mutas are about to eat some pretty nasty shots. But this is, I think, characteristic Scarlett. Very bold with the Mutalisks to try to pick off mines.
They're even in workers now, but Scarlett doesn't really have a whole lot of money in the bank anymore. Then again, Ultralisk and Infestors, if just a few Fungals can definitely make the difference. But Scarlett will soon be literally on 1 mining base, as the natural, of course, is empty already. The main has been empty for a while. There is this hidden base in the right top side of the map that Polt is not aware of yet. Actually, he has a Marine there, never mind. It's not saturated anyway. This is really tricky. Scarlett does not have a whole lot of money to work with.
I mean, Polt was up against the ropes. Nothing was going his way, but very, very carefully waited patiently until he actually almost lucked out with the mines in the bottom side, carefully positioning them to pick off, what, 12, 16 mutas? And ever since that moment, Polt has capitalized on that. He's been pushing up, and look at him now. He's at 6 bases, almost 7, up against Scarlett's really only 1 mining base in the top.
And now I really wonder what Polt is going to do. He will see that all of the Mutalisks are on the left bottom side of this map. There are a few Marines there and 1 missile turret. That won't be enough to keep that base alive, but I love what Polt is doing. He's like, all right, all your Mutas are on the right bottom, or left bottom side of this map. That means that I can go forward, put my Widow Mines in scary positions again. A Fungal will land on a few of these units, but I feel that Scarlett just does not have enough units this time to actually clean up this army.
It's going to be very close. Polt micros very nicely to get every single one of those Ultralisks taken out. Heading into one of the last mining bases. The top right has no drones at it. This might be lights out Scarlett.
Yeah, I think it is, Sean. There's just not a whole lot of income anymore for Scarlett. He will eventually clean up this army, as the Mutalisks did make their way back at home, pick up a few of these medevacs. But Polt has done a phenomenal job in securing additional bases. He's mining from the 7 o'clock. He's also mining of the 3 o'clock position. He's still keeping those hatcheries in check as well on the right top side of the map. Polt has played this out very well with a ridiculous high amount of Widow Mines. At a certain point, he had 22 Widow Mines out on the map.
It's the sort of thing where, as we saw on the south side, you don't need every mine to hit, but if you just get 1 great blast, that can be all you need to turn the tides. Polt, though, gets a GG and ties the series up.
Ah, that's nice for Polt. That is very nice for him to get some momentum going as well, get some confidence back in this matchup. And I was even a little bit worried, Sean, because that first push, if we go back to the early stages of this game, I really felt it did not do the damage that he was hoping for. When you have Stim by you, when you have 2 medevacs, your 3rd commander is a little later, and you have a lot of Hellbats. That was like 8 Hellbats. You're expecting, like, hey, if my opponent is doing this without a Roach Warren, I'm going to have a really good time with my units, but
yeah, I mean, it was earlier upgrades, destroying the early attack, getting the 6 macro hatches up really uncontested. I think it threw both players off when mysteriously the Xel'Naga watchtowers were not there. And you could tell that Scarlett's reticence to move out had a lot to do with her lack of good vision. Didn't want to move the Mutalisks ahead, and then all of a sudden, 1 single mine blast is all it took. Very, very key moment in that match. I think most impressively, it was hard for Polt to capitalize on that.
Yeah,
it was hard to capitalize on any edge against Scarlett.
It really was, and I do like that he's definitely thinking a lot about how to properly approach the playstyle of Scarlett. And at a certain point, perhaps we finally saw the weakness. Of course, one of the oldest logic things in StarCraft 2 is if you have a crazy amount of workers, it means that your army is a little smaller. And at a certain point, when that big fight was ready to unfold near that 5th base of Scarlett on the right top side of the map, where we had that beautiful trill of Widow Mines, of like 20 plus Widow Mines, the army supply was like 146 against 105, and of which some was still in production, because we saw Ultralisk on the production step. I mean, Scarlett is incredibly good in this matchup, but winning fights when you're down 50 plus army supply, even though it wasn't necessary, but that is just almost impossible.
Yeah, I mean, that is, it's kind of interesting how patient Polt was throughout that entire time, because like when you talked about the 22 mines, just waiting, didn't force any opportunity at all. Just waited and waited and waited, and then all of a sudden, when a few mines managed to hit nicely,